Welcome to Open House with Gerry Cornejo, where we feature people, places, and things that are in the news or who should be in the news. And the topic we're going to be discussing in this program is something as perennial, as ubiquitous as the traffic situation in Metro Manila. Hindi ba, sawang-sawa na tayo, alam na natin, luma na yon, bumenta na yan. Late ako kasi na traffic, right? But almost at par with that is the fact that so many of our air commuters ba tawag doon, or air travelers, especially those who are flying a particular local airline, have been complaining. Taon na ito, ilang taon na ito, dekada na yata, ever since this airline company came into existence. Budget nga sila, pero ang nangyayari naman is, I don't know, maybe they're overbooking, maybe it's not managed properly. But so many complaints have happened because of interminable delays, hindi ba? Yung nadidelay isa, dalawa, tatlo, apat na araw, sometimes half a day. But worst of all is, if you're abroad or if you're out of town, wala ka ng budget, tapos na-bump off ka without any reason, without any warning. And that is why ang topic po natin ngayon is about legal action against airline abuse. And hindi ko alam kung sasabihin ko buti na lang na ang isa sa mga, hindi naman, pero isa sa mga nabiktima po nila is one of our country's top lawyers. And I guess they're going to live to regret it, you know. And I'm talking about our guest now, who will be talking about his experience as well as legal remedies from airline abuse. And we have with us, suki na po natin ito, si Attorney Raymond Fortun. Attorney, welcome again. Attorney, it's your show. Ano po ang nangyari?
Happened during the height of APEC week. No? I think alam naman natin na talagang nagkaroon ng no-fly zone over NAIA. And it's understandable that there will be some flights that were affected. Now, in my case, and in a lot of cases involving a lot of our kababayans, nangyari was, pinaalis kami ng Pilipinas, hindi kami nini-notify na kansilado yung flight. In fact, nagkaroon pa nga ng some sort of a misinformation that the flight was a go, or it is confirmed because we received email notices to web check-in for the return flight. So nung nag-check-in kami ng web dun sa over the web, inissuean pa kami ng boarding pass for our return flight from out of town, out of the country, back to Manila. So all along, iniisip mo, okay pala, and then suddenly, you take your trip abroad, you have fun there. When you try to go back to the country, you're suddenly informed right there dun sa counter, without any email and any prior emails or phone calls or texts, that the flight had been previously canceled.
Canceled, hindi delayed.
Canceled.
Okay.
And that effectively, aside from the hassle, it creates a strain on your budget.
Of course.
Ako, okay lang ako. I had no problem. May credit card naman dyan. We had extra money that we brought along, just in case. But there were a lot of people who just were working on a small budget, kasi nagbakasyon lang. Hindi ka na makakapagdala ng maraming pera because bawal, you can't bring in too much money. And you also brought just enough clothes because ayaw mo din ng excess baggage charges. And these people suffered. What happened was that the flight was canceled, and the only remedies that were given by the airline were that you can ask for a rebooking or a refund. They did not provide for any hotel accommodation or any meals during the time that they were stranded, not of their own making.
Okay. Ngayon, dapat pala, pag ganyan, well, I've been to an airline many years ago na ganun ang ginawa.
Yes.
Na-cancel, hindi naman na-cancel Nagkaroon ng 8-hour or 12-hour layover.
Yes.
But we were provided the hotel.
Yes.
Sinatel kami ron, we provided meals and brought back. Of course, it's still inconvenient,
Yes.
but no extra expense on our part. So now you're abroad.
No extra expense and not too much of a hardship on you because at least meron kang matutuluyan na medyo makakahiga ka ng konti, makakapagpahinga,
Right.
or probably even providing you with kahit na isang burger man lang, o isang
right.
tubig,
Right.
para habang naghihintay, meron ka makakain. I mean, this was not afforded to the passengers. When that happened to me, The first impulse I had was, okay, you cancel the flight. We can't produce an airplane out of thin air. We understand that. And whatever the decision was, we can't unmake it. So what I told the personnel was, how about these people? What are you going to provide for them? When would be the return flight? And what can the airline do for them? Ang sagot is, they cannot provide for hotel accommodation and for meals during the time that they were stranded. For me, that was too much of a heartbreak. Nakita ko nag-iiyakan yung mga pasahero.
Really?
And they were
Literally nag-iiyakan?
Literally
Oh my
nag-iiyakan.
goodness. Oh.
Yung iba parang zombie na nga eh, because alam mo yun, yung feeling na helpless and
Yes.
hopeless.
Yes.
They didn't know where they were gonna stay. They didn't have the money to fend for themselves during that period. They didn't know how they're going to eat during that time. It was heartbreaking, and I felt it was too cruel, no, a situation that I told myself, probably God gave me this opportunity to open my eyes and see the suffering of these people. And I took it upon myself. I said, when I come back, I'm going to make sure that this is not going to happen again. And that's why we're going to push through with this action against the airline.
Okay. So, pero I'm sure prior to this, ang dami mo nang nababalitaan, nababasa sa social media, even at Gerry, about families and OFWs na gano'n na nangyayari.
Oh yes,
Di ba?
actually in my case, my flight from Naga to Manila was canceled one time. And it was because of a mechanical fault, no, dun sa airplane.
Okay.
Binigyan kami ng hotel, pinakain kami. In
Okay.
fact, 2 meals, yung meal nung gabi, tapos yung meal ng breakfast the following morning.
We were not talking about the same airline.
Same airline.
Same airline?
Yes.
Okay.
Same
Alright.
airline. So, sa akin was, walang problema na makansela yung flight. In fact, mas hassle pa nga yung nade-delay eh. Pero, I had my own experience from the same airline wherein, in case of a cancellation, they would provide for a roof on your head
Yes.
and for something to pass away the time. No? Pagkain man lang.
At saka lalo na ito, you were abroad. Can we mention the country you were in?
We were in Ho Chi Minh City in Vietnam.
Okay, so you were in Vietnam. I mean, Southeast Asia lang yun. But still, I mean, marami mga Pinoy. I mean, it's a strange place. They really save, save money to go on a trip, families. Ngayon,
Yes.
if you're a businessman, ang hassle naman doon, may appointment ka.
Yeah.
So, in your case, I think there was a commitment, family commitment
Yes.
for an important event for one of your children, di ba?
Yes, that's right. One of my children was to join a choir competition that weekend. And the truth was he did not want to join us for that trip because he said, APEC week, no, there were a lot of no class days. And he would have wanted to participate in the practice sessions during that period. And we somehow was able to convince him, sabi namin, no, don't, this is probably the one time, the only time that we will be going to Vietnam, no, because hindi namin alam kung makakabalik pa kami. Sabi namin, we'll be back by Thursday morning, so which means you have practice on Thursday and Friday and probably Saturday morning, no? So more than enough time to join your choir mates. Nakumbinsi namin. And when it happened, no, na na-cancel yung flight, hindi mo mapinta yung mukha ng bata. Yung the heartbreak, he looked so worried. He was so worried because kawawa naman yung choir. He was so worried because medyo nakatali yung grade niya dun sa pag-join ng choir competition.
Right.
I mean, it was part of his parang music grade.
Right,
so he was very despondent and very traumatic for him.
And then, this is not a rare case. I mean, it happens, it has happened so many times. Kaya nga, pag-umpisa ng programa, sabi ko nga, mabuti na lang, pero hindi naman mabuti na lang nangyari sa'yo. Pero, I mean, like you said, it's probably God's will.
God has His ways.
Oo, sabi nga niya, teka muna, itong ilalaban ko naman sa, I mean, mali na yan, sobra na, eto na. Ngayon, has there ever been a class action suit against Cebu Pacific? I've heard of individual suits made by a family or an individual, pero sa class action, meaning Ano ba ibig sabihin ng class
Alright.
action again?
In our laws, no, somebody can file a class action suit. No, if there is, if the subject matter of the controversy is of common or general interest, and that the people who are to file it are just so numerous that it is impracticable to be bringing them all together in one suit. No? So in such an instance, the law steps in and says only a representative sample of the total class can now go ahead and initiate suit against one person or a group of persons.
Okay, so at what stage are you now? Kasi ito nangyari lang, nangyari lang,
About
itong
last
recently
week.
lang.
Yes.
So at what stage are you now in proceeding with this class action suit?
Okay, first thing you do is, as what I had done, you try to bring in as many people who are interested in joining you into filing a class action.
Okay.
And then, secondly, you now have to evaluate, get their individual stories, try to evaluate the commonality or the at least a common ground by which you can now say we are all in the same class.
Pare-pareho kayong biktima nitong ganitong pangyayari.
It's not just a question of iisa lamang yung kalaban nyo. Hindi pwede yon, because even our interests are all different. That's why you have to determine and find that common cause of action. No? Not even the fault. No? Hindi mo pwedeng sabihin, hindi, lahat tayo, meron tayong hinahabol na danyos. That cannot be the basis for a class action. It has to be like, ano ba yung nagkakaisa tayo lahat? To my mind, right now, the one thing which I felt is a cause of action is that when an airline enters into a contract to ship you from point A to point B, and the airline says there's going to be a change in that contract, there must be some sort of a due diligence on the part of the airline to at least give you the proper notification so that you can make changes in whatever, pwede mong mag-decide, dito ka pa lamang sa Pilipinas, sabihin ko, hindi na lang ako aalis.
Right.
Or probably, ganun ba, makakancel yung flight. So probably mag-extend na lang ako, I will bring additional money, or I will bring additional clothes, or I will do something else. Bring work with you. In other words, basta notify ka naman properly that there is a change in that contract to bring you and to bring you back, then you can make effect changes. Pero kung hindi nangyari yon, like in this particular instance, and I am almost certain everybody who were affected during APEC and who are now complaining are saying they never received any kind of email from this airline, which is a circumstance, by the way, which other passengers in other airlines did not experience.
Okay.
Then I would think that there is a cause of action. One wherein there is now a fault or a negligence in the notification as to the amendment or the change in the contract between the parties.
Okay, hold that thought. Now for those of you out there who just tuned in, kung nagka-problema kayo being bumped off by an airline, especially without being notified, listen on because si Attorney Raymond Fortun will be telling you about possible legal remedies aside from just class action. No? So, you're listening to Open House with Gerry Cornejo, and we'll be back right after this. Stay tuned. Welcome back to Open House with Gerry Cornejo, where we feature people, places, and things that are in the news or who should be in the news. Now, have you ever experienced any inconvenience when flying via airplane by airlines, and especially yung pong nababump off kayo, nakakancel yung inyong mga biyahe without prior notice. Yung pagdating nyo ron, you have a boarding pass, and then when you get to the counter, they say, I'm sorry, your flight has been canceled. And you're somewhere else in the Philippines or abroad. Ito pong naranasan ng ating guest, si Attorney Raymond Fortun, and because of that, he is now one of the co-plaintiffs ba tawag doon?
Yes.
Sa class action suit against Cebu Pacific. Ngayon, Attorney Raymond Fortun. So, ang nangyari doon, again, just a recap, you were in a foreign country, in Vietnam to be precise. It was APEC week. You were told that okay na ang return trip nyo, na-issuehan pa kayo ng boarding pass.
Yes.
Pagdating nyo sa counter, kasama mo buong pamilya mo, pag-present mo, sabi, sorry, cancel yung flight nyo.
Yes.
Cancel. Just like that. So walang abiso. So canceled. Ngayon, The problem here, the majority of our air travelers, yung mga kababayan natin, kahit hindi natin kababayan, the majority, hindi inaasahan yung mga another day or two nagagastos sila sa hotel, especially if you're a family, di ba? Kung mag-isa ka lang, maybe hindi ka masyadong worried. But what if you're with your wife, your children, your young children? I mean, what are you gonna do? You're gonna call Raymond, Attorney Raymond Fortun. Ngayon, Attorney Raymond Fortun, ano nangyari ngayon? So, we had that problem, and again, what did you do? You gathered all of yung mga kasama mo sa flight na yon, specific flight, or anong ginawa mo?
No. What I did was, so I posted my complaint on Facebook, and a lot of people responded.
Okay.
In fact, about 40,000 plus people
Wow.
liked that particular post.
Okay.
Kasi I said I was gonna sue.
Oh.
And a lot of people now started sending messages to me, private messages, saying,
Right.
Attorney, i-class suit na natin to because it happened to us. We were not in Vietnam, but we were somewhere else, and same incident. There were people from Bangkok, from
Right.
in Japan, South Korea, merong sa Malaysia. There were also some of yung mga fellow passengers ko na nandoon sa same flight sa Ho Chi Minh. So, I felt that it was something that is pretty much generic, hindi lang apektado yung flight namin, no? I mean, we're talking about apparently a system-wide breakdown in communication during APEC week. And the only emails, all of us, basically, that we received was a notification that there was a no-fly zone on this particular days, when there were VIPs coming into Manila or leaving, and then that was it. In my case pa nga, tiningnan namin, we received that email, tiningnan namin, sabi namin, hindi naman tatamaan yung flight namin ng no-fly zone. No, so no worries whatsoever. But just the same, when we received that email that we could check in for our return flight, naging mapanatag yung loob mo. Nagkaroon ka ng feeling na, tuloy naman pala eh.
May
Wala
boarding
namang
pass ka
problema.
pa.
Issue the boarding pass. We tried verifying over the phone. Of course, as you can expect, their hotline was jam-packed. You cannot get through. The last thing which I felt was a failing on the part of the airline was nung nag-check-in kami dito sa NAIA.
Okay.
At that point, apparently they had already made a decision to cancel the flight. And we were not notified. Right there and then. We had a boarding pass, pabalik. But they apparently knew already that there was a cancellation of that flight. And we were not told.
From NAIA?
From
Bago
NAIA,
pa kayo umalis?
kami umalis ng Pilipinas, alam na pala nila na ika-cancel nila yung flight.
How did you find that out?
I found out later. Kasi nga, when I made my complaint, some people were directing me to a web link of the Cebu Pacific Facebook page.
Okay.
Or I don't know if it was a website. Wherein, as of 5:30 p.m. of the day that we were leaving, they made a 7th change or amendment dun sa affected flights. And the Saigon to Manila was already included.
I see.
Okay. So sa madaling salita, obviously, we would not have been able to see it. Kasi by 5:30 p.m., abalang-abala ka na eh. Papunta ka na ng airport eh. We had to check in not later than 8 p.m. because the flight was 10 p.m. You would not even think of looking into the website. Secondly is, hawak na namin yung boarding pass pabalik eh.
Right.
So, you have that false sense of security that you could get back home. So even yung whether you're going to push through or not, how much money you're going to bring, how many clothes you're going to bring, all of these are affected because of the lack of information that was given to me and my family as late as the time that we were to board or check in from NAIA 3.
Okay. Ngayon, Attorney Fortun, maghahain kayo ng class action suit.
Yes.
At what stage is it now? I mean, you already have the people.
I've spoken to a lot of people already. In fact,
Okay.
More than 50 have responded.
All right.
They have all sent the details of their experiences.
Okay.
And they've already given me a summary or a breakdown of the expenses that they incurred
All right.
by reason of that. Sa akin lang is now the question of what would now constitute as a class action suit. No? There are points that you have to consider. One would be numerosity. Would 50 people be numerous enough to represent the whole who were similarly affected? What about the question of typicality? Meaning, yung bang experience ko is roughly more or less the same as that experienced of by everybody else. How about the question of adequacy? No? Is there, would the 50 people be already adequate enough in order to convince the court that this is something that the court should consider as an action that would now benefit all the others who were affected during that time? And lastly is the question of commonality. Did we have a unity or a similarity in the cause of action, which can be the basis? Now, the thing, Gerry, is that in the Philippines, there is a provision in our rules of court with regard to the filing of a class action suit. But class action suits in the Philippines, not that extensive as being done in the US. I think alam natin yan, maririnig natin yung mga class action suits against tobacco companies, against car manufacturers, against probably yung toy manufacturers that somehow injected lead into, poisonous substances into toys, no? Very extensive, in fact, very very ripe yung kanilang class action legislation. And the truth is that they even have laws with regard to protection of consumers and the filing of class action suits. Dito sa Pilipinas, there are very few judgments by the Supreme Court through the years. And in fact, most of these judgments, to be candid, natalo yung mga class action plaintiffs.
Okay.
At the most famous one na nagsampa ng kaso ng class action were those who were affected by the sinking of the MV Doña Paz way back in 1988. Dun sa kaso na yon, sinabi ng Supreme Court, affirmed by the Supreme Court, that the parties who tried to represent themselves as representatives of all those who were on that boat did not have proper standing to represent. Okay? There is a suit way back in 2004 against a particular publication na medyo masama yung sinulat about Muslims. And the plaintiffs who filed seem to have filed it on behalf of all the Muslims nationwide as well as worldwide.
Okay.
And the Supreme Court, although papyaw, mentioned na hindi nila pwedeng i-represent yung mga Muslims as a whole, as a body. See, so very, very, to my mind, number one is that there is really actually no standard yet in the Philippine setting as to how many plaintiffs are needed in order to file a class action suit. There are none. The law, the jurisprudence is still very young. Number two is that, to my mind, there must be a need to narrow down the scope of the class action suit so that the court can now see that there is a commonality in the interest and the subject matter and that the plaintiffs are numerous enough that they can now represent properly the whole.
Ngayon, are you looking for more plaintiffs or okay na muna yung 50 for the meantime?
Tingin ko, 50 would be more than enough.
Okay.
No? Kasi, let us just say, that there were X number of flights and there are 100 passengers for each flight. So, sa tingin ko, 50 would be more than a good representative.
Sa aeroplano nyo lang, I'm sure 200 plus yun.
That's right.
Di ba? There are over 200.
Lagyan na natin, mga 140. Mga 140.
Right.
Okay? But the thing is that we're also looking at some of those who were affected, not just in Vietnam, but also those in the other Asian countries.
Okay, ngayon, candidly also, do you think this case will prosper?
I would like to be candid. No?
Right.
The problem is going to be quite daunting, not only with regard to the legal issue itself, but, well, this is Cebu Pacific, okay? I mean, they're going to throw a battery of lawyers against us.
Of course.
And yan ang problem really, about people who feel that they have a cause of action against the airline. Natatakot na sila magsampa. Because number one is that, well, they don't have the money to sue.
Right.
Number two, probably the amount of money that they're going to claim is going to be less than the cost of litigation. And then number three, you're going up against a corporation, okay, that has 50.9 billion in capital exposure. And yung kanyang group of companies, hindi ko nababanggitin yung pangalan,
Okay.
Easily about mga 500 billion of assets.
Right.
You're talking about a company that has so much resources to go against a small individual or even a group. So, I'm not I'm unfazed by this. Sa akin, this is an opportunity really for not only to ripen Philippine jurisprudence, this is an opportunity to show that even a small group of individuals are willing to fight a big company like this.
Ngayon, best scenario, if you prosper, what's in it for you and for the rest of the plaintiffs?
Best scenario, well, we'll be able to get the court to issue an order requiring Cebu Pacific now to accept claims for reimbursement for the expenses incurred during the time that they were stranded either locally or abroad on account of the failure of Cebu Pacific to duly inform them of the cancellation in due time.
So meron din silang, ano tawag nito, damages na matatanggap kung sakali kayong 50 of you.
If the court, bale actual damages, it would be merely a reimbursement of the claim. Alam mo, merong mga iba, ang ginastos nila 5,000 pesos lang, additional.
Right.
Merong mga iba na pamilya o grupo, about 170, 200,000 pesos.
Okay.
Merong isa who had to undergo emergency hemodialysis in Palawan because they couldn't do it, they would have wanted to do it in Manila, pero they had to do it in Palawan, napilitan sila. She's claiming only less than 50,000. The amount is not important. It is the fact that there was a failure. No? And that is the commonality of interest that we are after. We want the court to say, Cebu Pacific, you are a common carrier, you have a duty and an obligation to duly inform your passengers of any change in the contract of carriage. If you fail in that duty and you caused inconvenience and you caused people to spend money that they would have not spent were it not for your failure, then you are to be held liable for the consequences of that. And that would include damages. Hindi kami hihingi ng moral damages if we could. No? We will leave that up to the court. If the court says we are entitled to moral damages, fine. Not a problem. But ako, ang hahabulin ko on my own, I'm going to be asking for exemplary damages.
Okay.
Exemplary damages are to set an example so that in the future, airlines would now be more careful in dealing with the riding public. Anong gagawin ko dun sa exemplary damages na ito? I will be setting up an airline litigation fund with the money. The money is not going to go to my pocket. I will be setting up it as a fund so that later on, pag meron ngayong pinirwisyo na naman ng isang airline, it doesn't have to be Cebu Pacific, it can be any other airline na perwisyo. Now, the public has a fund. They can now access that. They can go to me and say, Attorney Fortun, we were prejudiced, we would like to sue, and we want you to be our lawyer, and we want you to use that fund. And I will say yes.
Okay, with that, have you been victimized by any airline, di ba? Yung either, especially yung na-bump off kayo na foreign country na basta pinabayaan na lang kayo. Now, sometimes it could be life-threatening. As you were saying, it's a matter of health, no? And sometimes the opportunities lost because of negligence could run to in the millions. Nangyayari din po yan. So, isa po kayo sa biktima, or you would like to know what you can do if this happens to you, please stay tuned. Attorney Raymond Fortun will be talking more about legal action against airline abuse when we return. Welcome back to Open House with Gerry, Cornejo, where we feature people, places, and things that are in the news or should be in the news. And this program and this station airs nationwide and in 7 Asian countries via cable and satellite, GSAT. On GNN, Destiny Cable, we're on Channel 8. In Sky, we're in 213. And in GSAT, we're in Channel 1. And we're talking about legal action against airline abuse. We're talking about people who were bumped off or whose flights were canceled and suffered actual losses or anong tawag doon sa may ibang losses na yun? Exemplary ba yan? Exemplary law. Ngayon, as a recap, si Attorney Raymond Fortun was in Vietnam with his family and of course a plane load from Cebu Pacific na mga siguro 90% or more, puro mga kababayan natin yan. And ganun-ganun na lang, sabi sa kanila, your flight is canceled, period. They had, many of them had boarding passes.
Yes.
Your flight is canceled. Sorry. Sorry na lang. Pero, they weren't provided with anything. Ni isang pirasong biskwit, ni isang basong tubig, walang binigay sa kanila. So, ang recourse nila is a class action suit against Cebu Pacific. Anong demanda nyo? What is it called? Damages for, or
Yes, it will be a claim for damages. No?
for what? I mean, against Cebu Pacific,
Yes.
negligence or anong?
I would say that it is at the very least a violation of our rights as passengers.
Okay. So, in other words, yung kontrata nila, hindi nila finulfill. Ganon.
That's correct.
Okay. Now, you were saying earlier na this class action suit is not necessarily about money.
Yes.
It's not necessarily about getting benefits. Although, at the very least, siguro dapat ma-reimburse yung ginastos nyo.
Yes.
Di ba? Because if you had to stay in a hotel, if you had to, pay for meals for your family, for yourself, at least yung ma-reimburse.
Yeah, some
Yeah.
like in our case, we had to buy extra clothes kasi
Oo.
wala nang damit na magamit na maayos eh. Yung iba dyan, nagpapatawa, sabihin gano'n, bakit mag-side A, side B na lang? But,
Yeah.
I mean, you can't really expect us to do that, especially if you don't know when you're gonna be able to board eh.
Okay.
So, the only recourse is just buying new clothes. So, the suit that we're filing, we're not after money. We just want a reimbursement of the expenses that we incurred. It's gonna, some of them, 5,000 pesos. Yung iba, ang sisingilin nga lang, taxi fare nga lang galing sa airport, tapos yung terminal fee. Ganun lang.
Right,
No? But
right.
they want all of us, as a group, no? as a class, we want to set an example. We want to send a message to the airline that you just can't do this anymore. No? Kasi the problem is that, as you correctly pointed out at the start of the show, this is a recurring theme. This is not the first time that it happened. And so many people have already suffered the inconvenience of getting their flights delayed or probably being canceled without any sufficient notice. What is the problem? Nobody has actually gone out to court and sue. Ang gagawin ng iba, magpapadala ng sulat sa CAB, sa Civil Aeronautics Board. That's all. And then it takes forever. Actually, I received emails already, sabing ganun, no action by the government with regard to their complaints. Yung iba nagtuturoan pa, ipapasa yung complaint sa DTI. Sabi ng DTI, hindi naman kami yan kasi kayo yung dapat na mag-impose ng fine on the airline in case of a breach of the contract. So, what happens? You have all of these small people, very limited budget to sue. The courts, you need to spend money just to file a suit. You need to hire a lawyer, a good lawyer, to go up against a monolithic company with so much resources against you. Anong nangyayari? Hindi na lang kami magdedemanda. Ibaon na lang sa experience.
Fees
Charge
na
to
lang.
experience na lang. No? Tapos, again, no, but that's not teaching or trying to improve the standards of the industry. We want to be able to achieve that, no? That there's going to be hell to pay in case you're going to be fighting. So it's difficult. I will be very honest with you, Gerry. This is not an open and shut case because class action suits in the Philippines has not been very ripe to this day. The number of what can you file as a class action suit, the number of people who should be part of that representative sample who can file on behalf of everybody else. It's going to be a long and tough battle because, of course, Cebu Pacific is not going to take this sitting down. We expect that. But out of it, if in the process it's going to enrich Philippine jurisprudence, it will embolden other people to also file similar suits in order to improve the standards, no, of companies dealing with consumers in the industry or in the Philippines. Malaking bagay na for us.
Okay. Now, Attorney Fortun, sabi mo this isn't about money.
Yes.
Okay. Kung ako naman ng Cebu Pacific, it's not about money because, I mean, let's face it, they're guarding their bottom line, di ba? Bottom line tinitingnan nila. I mean, prestige, pwede na. Sirang-sira na kami, ang dami na naninira sa amin, di ba? Pero ito, bottom line, tinitingnan nila. Ngayon, kung wala naman sila masyadong damages, kung prinsipyo lang, baka sabihin nila, oh sorry, hindi na mauulit.
But there has to be, well, the number one is that we have to see changes. no?
Okay.
I mean, there has to be a change. If they're going to come out and say, from now on, wala nang maka-cancel na flights, no, without proper notification.
Okay.
Pwede. But again, still, what about the actual expenses? Actual expenses that were incurred by the parties, no, or by all those affected during that time. Hindi naman pwedeng sorry lang din 'yon. Because ako, sa akin, maliit na bagay kung if we're talking about less than 100,000. No? I can forgive that. That's easy. But for some people, even the 5,000 pesos is a big amount.
For sure.
Okay? So sa akin, hindi pwedeng sorry lang, no? Because probably I can take it. Hindi problema sa akin. But for some people, the 5,000, 50,000, 100,000 pesos that they spent in excess of the budget is something that's just too much for them. So yan rin ang pinaglalabang ko.
Okay. Ngayon, Attorney Fortun, paano ngayon like there are a lot of people listening to us now.
Yes.
Would like to know what they can do if they experience this situation na-cancel yung flight nila or na-delay or na-bump off sila. Meron na silang boarding pass. Pwede mangyari yun, di ba? May biglang dumating na VIP, di ba? Bigla na lang sabihin sa'yo, sorry sir. In other words, pag na-inconvenience kayo ng airline company, specifically an airline company, what should they do?
And their remedies are very, very limited under the current laws that we have. There is this thing that you will read it a lot, no? Yung Air Passenger Bill of Rights.
Yes.
Do you know, Gerry, that Air Passenger Bill of Rights, it's not even a law.
Yes.
It is just an agreement between DTI and the CAB. So
Alright.
in other words, it is something that is not really a hard and fast rule.
Hindi legally binding.
Not legally binding on the airlines because they never signed on it. It is not a law. It is not something that can be imposed on them.
Right.
So the most that you can really do is, kaya nga yung iba, ang sinasabi na lang, you should read the ticket. And yung ticket ng mga airlines, maniwala ka, it is what you call a contract of adhesion. It means that since you agreed to it, even if the terms are onerous or medyo agrabyado ka, sumakay ka, umokay ka pa din. So hanggang dyan ka lang. So you will notice, like for example, there's this provision there which says, if you lose your baggage, the airline is only liable up to the extent of yung ticket mo.
Ganon na.
Yes.
Okay.
Ganong kasama. What if, for example, yung nawala is much, much more? I'm
Yes.
sorry, no,
Right.
but that is what the ticket says.
Right.
Now, if you are not amenable to that, then don't take our airline. Don't ride our airline. It's a contract of adhesion. There are a lot of jurisprudence, no, in our courts tungkol dyan. And time again, the airlines have always been citing that. So what is needed here, if you get bumped off, if you're inconvenienced, if you can pay for the cost of litigation, proceed. File it, no? File it. Because otherwise, hindi natututo yung mga airlines they basically get your money and then they take advantage of the fact that you do not have the ability to sue them.
Right. Alam nila yun. Calculated
It's
yan.
actually calculated. There probably is an actuarial study on it. Kaya
For
nga,
sure.
yun rin yung sama ng loob ko. Because this is a 50.9 billion capitalized airline. 50.9 billion. If, for example, nag-provide lang sila ng hotel, accommodation, and meals para doon sa, lagay na natin, 3,000 passengers,
Right.
okay? Or 20,000 passengers, that would actually be only 60 million pesos. Na-compute ko na. That is 0.001 of yung capitalization ng kanilang airline. Ano lang siya tingi.
Which, by the way, ginagawa ng mga ibang airlines.
Correct.
Ginagawa ng ibang airlines yung pag ma-bump off kayo, or if pag ang certain number of hours, pag ma-delay 12 hours or
Yes.
more, they already provide accommodations for you.
In this particular instance, they didn't even want to, compassion na lang dun sa mga kababayan natin na, look, they don't have the money. Sige, kami na lang gagastos. If it was something that was actionable, then send a bill to the Philippine government. Say, total, kayo naman na may kasalanan, bakit na cancel yung flights?
Yeah.
We're going to bill you for it. no? And anyway, if they aren't able to collect from the government, charge it as a loss. It now becomes what is known as a bad debt expense, which is actually deductible dun sa kanilang income tax return. So sa madaling salita, this company could very well have been capable of sustaining that particular loss instead of inconveniencing and prejudicing thousands of passengers na puro mga Pilipino. These are their customers.
At saka, pero ito, I mean, I really want to get into this also. Yung nalaman nila na isa sa mga na-inconvenience nila, si Attorney Raymond Fortun,
Gumawa sila ng paraan.
gumawa ng paraan.
Oh, yeah.
We can't all be Attorney Raymond Fortun or attorneys, di ba?
And that was also one of my sama ng loob. Because, simply because na I am who I am, suddenly binibigyan nila ako ng accommodation. Tinawagan ako, sabing ganun, pwede na raw nilang isakay yung pamilya ko together with me, no? The following night.
Yung
Of
mga iba,
course.
by the way, gano'ng katagal ang delay? Interminable.
November 19, easily 3 days.
Wow.
3 days. They had to stay 3 days.
Okay.
Actually, yung original rebooking ko was 3 days. No? Pero, you know, yung the second day that I stayed over, pinadala nila ako ng ticket sa ibang airline. Doon nila ako sinakay. But you see, sabi kong ganun, syempre ako tatanggapin ko na. Why? Because
Right.
I wanted to go home. I had things to do here in Manila.
Right.
No? Of course, I wanted to go home, but I said, it's not gonna make a difference because as I was inconvenienced, so many others were inconvenienced. And if they were able to give an accommodation to me, I'm pretty sure they did not give the same kind of accommodation to the others.
For
And
sure.
I felt so bad about it.
Wow.
That's why I owe it na din to all those who suffered during this period. I just have to do this. So lahat ng mga plaintiffs dito, hindi ako magcha-charge ng attorney's fees. I will not charge them a single centavo. And kung meron man silang makukuha na danyos, I will not even ask for a single percentage from it. Kung meron kami makukuha, kanila yon, I'm not gonna ask for a single centavo. The only thing na hihingin ko from them is that hati-hati kami doon sa filing fee. Equal doon sa kung anong porsyento nung hinahabol nila from the airline.
Right.
So, I already computed it. If their claim is 50,000 and the total claim against the airline is 5 million, ang i-charge ko sa kanila is 50,000 divided by 5 million, which be roughly about mga 1,000 pesos sa filing fee.
Right.
Yun lang. Yun lang gagastusin nila para maging part sila nito. With regard dun sa monthly expenses no during the course of the trial, for paper, for computer ink, for messagerial services, for postal services, and so on, nag-agree na kami. In fact, they've all signified, yes, we will join you, we will share in the expenses. The expenses won't be 100 pesos a month.
Okay.
Ganun lang. So, kayang-kaya ngayon. Can you imagine if it was just one individual suing the airline? It's going to be spending easily on lawyer's fees alone. Naabot ka ng mga 500,000 pesos.
Right.
Dito, because we're doing this as a class and because I'm going to be doing this pro bono and except for yung mga expenses which really come out of the pocket, it's going to be very minimal. Probably at the end of the day, baka gagastusin nila, wala pa sigurong 4,000.
Okay. And with that, by the way, if you want to follow what's happening, si Attorney Raymond Fortun has a running post sa Facebook. So look for Raymond Fortun, R-A-Y-M-O-N-D F-O-R-T-U-N. Okay, Raymond Fortun. Hanapin nyo sa Facebook. Ngayon, kung gusto nyo i-friend, ewan ko kung meron ka pang space sa friends mo. Wala na. But anyway, it's open to the public. Kaya makikita nyo naman ang progress nitong class action suit. And if you have any problems of a similar situation, I suggest consult your lawyer. Or if there's a way, i-message nyo si Attorney Raymond Fortun and he will be able to give you some sound legal advice. So again, wag tayo pong magtitiis na lang magtitiis pag binubuli po tayo ng mga malalaking korporasyon. And in this case, you know, Cebu Pacific, watch out. Please give us, you know, better service. Yun na lang. To be kind. Attorney, please.
It's all what we want.
You have 30 seconds to address our people. Ano po camera nyo?
Oo. Hindi namin gusto yung nangyari. I'm pretty sure even the airline didn't want it to happen. But the only thing that everybody, not just myself, but all those who use the airlines, no, we just want better customer service. We want better care for the passengers, and we want more compassion in treating those who are inconvenienced because of one reason or another. So I do hope that people will pray for us, because we're going to need a lot of prayers in this fight. Thank you.
Okay, so with that, marami pong salamat, Attorney Raymond Fortun.
Thank you also, Gerry.
Alam naman natin sino nanalo pag David at Goliath, di ba? Laging panalo si David. Now, let's...
Sana ganun din.
Ganun ang mangyayari dito. You know, I mean, right is might. So with that, until next week, I'm Gerry Cornejo. Thank you for staying with us during the past hour. I love you. God bless you.